What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most awesomest homesteading channel on the planet that has nothing to do with homesteading whatsoever. Homesteading off the grid. However, today's video does kind of have something to do with homesteading in that we have a chicken in the video with us. I would like to show you the art I purchased down here at Key West. This is a piece, as you can see, called Key West Fried Chicken. Isn't it a beautiful piece? It spoke to me when I saw it. It was created by Key West roadside artist Rick Burnell. Rick has been painting down here on just, on the side of the street, wherever he wants to set up, for 30 years. He's a boomer. He was living a life of being enslaved in the soul trap, didn't like it, wanted to paint. That was his passion. Took the chance and said, oh, the hell with it. I'm going to go to Key West and paint by the side of the street and see if I can sell my wares. And he's been down here doing that for 30 years, averaging more money daily in revenues than me as a successful social media content creator of 15 years. I'm not going to give you numbers. He shared those numbers with me. It's amazing. And the man is doing what he loves, where he wants to do it, on his terms. I told him this morning about the painting yesterday. I do my morning runs down here, run a couple miles when they're not overspraying with the chemtrails here in the mornings, which we're going to get into here in a minute. I walk by him every morning, then eventually I stopped, which was yesterday. This piece spoke to me, okay, in many ways. Number one, my son's favorite food is fried chicken. Number two, the place reminds us of the Philippines so much in that, all these wild chickens running around Key West. So, so my wife, something that's important to my wife is in this image. You got an importance to my son, the fried chicken, the importance to my wife, the chickens in the street, Key West. Well, and then there's something that I enjoy myself in this painting. Perhaps you can figure it out. Perhaps not. Maybe you need to take a break and go to Key West yourself if you can't. All right, so let's get into it. Listen, we're leaving Key West today, but we are not going home. FYI, it's funny. Before I went out for my run this morning, I got a text that the power is out at our home in Central Virginia. I went and checked the weather. It was 34 degrees, heavy snow. I guess they got ice and sleet last night. I just kind of laughed and stepped outside my door into the balmy 78-degree Key West weather and enjoyed a beautiful morning run and went by and said bye to Rick again while I was doing my cool down. Here's what we're doing. We're going to visit some more key southern retirement communities before we do go back to Virginia, because I think I'm onto it. I think I've got it figured out. Let me get into it and I'll explain as I go along. So I've got a couple of emails here to read that you folks have sent. I'm going to start with one. It's halfway down. Again, we're talking about the fog, the chemtrails, how it's affecting folks. What is the plan? I got an email from Darla, and this came in a few days ago. I'm still playing catch up with a lot of the emails I've missed because we've been down here on a working vacation. Darla writes, "Hi Kevin, I hope you are all staying well now. You do have my permission to read this letter should you choose. Since you're in Florida, what does the air smell like? Do you smell salty ocean air? I'm asking because I live on the water in Maine. I can throw a rock into the Atlantic Ocean from my deck, but I cannot smell it. The skies are not as blue as they were in my childhood either, and the air is just not the same. And yes, I smelled the chemical burning, but that part is gone now, or maybe I've been desensitized. I'm not a pessimist. I love life. I love our planet Earth. I just hope there's plenty left to love and enjoy for generations to come. Thank you for being the strong voice, Darla." Darla, it's interesting that you asked this specific question because that's one of the first things I noticed when we pulled in here at Key West. We are literally, it takes us 12 minutes to walk slow and easy to the pier and the beach that we've visited daily since we've been here. But that's because we have to go down 2 blocks, cut around about 2 blocks around a very large resort, and then we're 1 block from the ocean. So we're literally only 3 blocks from the sea. We just have to go 2 out of the way to get around that large resort. I pulled in, stepped out of the truck, expecting it to just get smacked in the face with that beautiful smell of salty sea air. Never happened. So no, it doesn't smell like that. It doesn't. And again, it's been 19 years since I've been here, but I have been here, and that's one of my fondest memories of Key West. It's one of my fondest memories of all beaches around the world. I've been on beaches on the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific, on both sides. I've been on the Atlantic from the European side, and I've been on the Pacific from the Asian side. That smell's a constant. But according to Darla, it's no longer in Maine, and I'm here to tell you I'm not smelling it down here in Key West. So there is that. Okay? Now, I'm going to read something that somebody left as a comment on the video I made a couple of days ago about, and this is where we're talking about, a lot of people thought I was crazy when I was talking about being informed by somebody that they're going to start deporting U.S. citizens, like street people, the mentally ill, 3 strikes and you're outers. And then later in the day, wow, the news came out that it's going to happen. I'm telling you, I'm not making this stuff up. We have sources that are quicker than the mainstream media. That's all I'm saying. We've got contacts within the government who themselves are now being silenced. Doesn't mean they're not talking to me. But let me read you this comment from Mark Lennick, 7307. And I replied to his comment, and I'm going to read my reply. Now listen, these are Mark's views. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with them. This comment was not flagged by the social media platform, so it's out there for everybody to see. Here's what Mark wrote. He says, "Hi, Kevin. First off, I want to thank you for all your constant research daily and giving us folks the provable true information that news tends to forget to mention or decides the real truth isn't worth the American people worth knowing." Which, Mark, that's what's going on. That's why I do what I do. He continues, "With that said, I've noticed this video has hit a lot of nerves for your viewers." And that, again, is the video where pretty much it says, listen, produce or perish. If you're a scourge on society, if you're not producing, if you're not contributing to society, your community, your family unit, if you're dead weight, they're going to unalive you or disappear you. It's either going to be through low-grade spraying that's going to be just enough to trigger your already deteriorated health because of a lack of self-care and your addiction to tablets, because it was easier to take a tablet than it was to go out and do your morning runs and eat healthy. I just ate some bok choy, instead of treating yourself with Mother Nature's supplements. You trust the chemist instead of the cow, if you know what I'm saying. Instead of just eating honest-to-God butter, you're consuming margarine? What even is that stuff? So anyway, Mark continues. "There's a mixed bag of comments. I watch every video you post, but this might be only the second time I've actually commented. While reading some of the viewers' comments, it just completely floored me. As the saying goes, sometimes the truth hurts. There's always going to be the cancer stick of doom and gloom, and everything is horrific when things are bad. There's that same cancer stick complaining about everything when things are going right. And listen, this is the biggest targeted group. As I see it, there are 3 main targeted groups that are being unalived or disappeared. And this is the biggest, and Mark nails it. And he said that sometimes the truth hurts, okay? There's absolutely no pleasing some folks in the world. Those are the same folks that will inevitably cause their own demise should something actually happen. We're seeing it, folks. We're seeing it. And I'm down here doing the rubber to the road in the field research. I'm going to share with you after I finish what he said, because he nails it. The truth hurts. Okay? I stay away from political conversations like the plague. Everyone has an input, yet it seems the complainers are the same ones that are entitled. The Karens, the lazy, who sit on the couch all day, not wanting to work. They have a handicap sign in their vehicle to be able to park up close, then sprint to the store while knocking people out of their way while rocking the blue and pink hair. Yet they impress the fact that they deserve to be heard and demand respect. Will you shut up? What did I just tell you? Oh, man. Yes, perhaps the painting comes off a bit loud. Ba-dum-bum-ching. Hey, Key West Fried Chicken got it. All right. So let me continue. All right. Okay, yeah, they deserve respect. Okay, then Mark says, get a job. Stop manipulating the system for food stamps, having the government pay your bills because you boo-hoo to them and that you are owed. These are the weeds that need to be put on the same plane as the illegals, sent to a remote island when they can have 300, where they can have 300 different genders. They can all do their daily life without government assistance. No skills, no work ethic, no mental capacity of how to live on their own, and most of all, no social media. That alone will kill them. I particularly want to apologize for this comment. Or no, he says, I partially want to apologize for this comment, but as I said from the start, sometimes the truth hurts. Mark, and here's what I replied. I said, my reply was, in case you haven't noticed, that seems to be the very demographic they are trying to unalive. They're as fed up with it as you seem to be. And Mark, this guy, he had to get the last word in now. Listen, Mark, no apology necessary, because basically you said in a more colorful way than I have exactly who they're going after. Now, that's the biggest group. The way I see it, there are three. There's the demographic you just described. Because, listen, the people who have spent a lifetime producing are as sick of it, Mark, as you are. And I saw your picture, if it's an actual picture of you and the person there on your YouTube handle. You're still a relatively young person, especially in comparison to me. How do you think those of us who have been putting up with this for even longer than you have feel about it? Listen, I know I grew up in Appalachia, where you can't swing a cat by a tail without hitting a dozen of these people, okay? I've got neighbors where I live now who live like this. They found someone else to care for them, be it the government or family members of means, or suckers, people in the family who allow them to be deadbeats and do nothing and not contribute, but who go out on their own and work and earn to make sure this person is housed and fed, while these people do nothing but complain about how much more they're owed. And about how people like me and you, Mark, I'm assuming, who work, and like so many folks who work to make the wheel go round, should pay even more in taxes than we already do, so they can have more because they deserve it. That's the biggest targeted group. Now, you know who else are the targeted individuals that they're trying to unalive? As I see it, and many of you will probably agree with this, either unalive or have disappeared, potentially to end up in a hole in a third world country like El Salvador. Targeted individuals. Well, what do you mean, Crazy Lake? Isn't that like, what's that word, redundant? Yeah, but so am I, so it's fitting. Listen, Google targeted individuals. There's about 10,000 of them in the United States. Here's what that means. These are the people who actually think the government is monitoring their emails. And I know many of you have emailed me, because one gentleman just this morning sent an email that said, Kevin, something strange is going on. Every time I email you, the email gets kicked back to me and held in my inbox as if I've received it, and then it goes out to you as if it was sent. He says, I think our emails are being watched. Yeah, because they are. Now, who's watching and why? Well, that's what we just don't quite know. But there are approximately 10,000 of these folks who believe they're part of that group, targeted individuals. Now, a lot of them are obviously and apparently mentally ill. A lot of them would fall into this first group. They're the folks who don't produce, complain, and demand more because of an entitlement mentality. They think because they were born U.S. citizens, they should just be handed everything on a silver platter as if they were born into a trust fund family. But listen, there's a large percentage of targeted individuals, people who fit within those 10,000 people in America who believe they're being watched, who believe they're being monitored, who believe their behavior patterns and even their thought processes are being manipulated by them, who do not fall into that original group. These are people who do produce. These are people who went to college. Many of them got advanced degrees, master's degrees, doctorates. A lot of them are in the medical profession. Some of them are lawyers. Some of them are professors. Yet they're still targeted. Many of them show no signs of being mentally ill. Yet, if they were to go to a mental health professional and have this conversation with them and talk to them about it and say, I know this sounds crazy, doc, but I think I might be targeted. I don't know why. Well, you know what the medical profession would tell them? He or her would tell them that they are delusional. And they would probably write them a prescription for delusional personality disorder and recommend a tablet. But those who truly can read between the lines and who are able to figure out what's going on without having to be told would know not to take those tablets. Listen, this is the second group that's being targeted. Actual bona fide targeted individuals. Why? Several reasons. They can think for themselves. They don't buy into party lines. They question authority. They're able to see what's going on. Well, they pose a threat then, don't they? They pose a threat because it's those people who can go out and warn the masses. Now, many of them won't. The ones that actually produce and who are taxed heavily for those who do nothing and demand they deserve more in our tax dollars to provide them a better way of life. Because look at the life we have. Yeah, because we work. We earn. So therefore, when it gets cold where we live, we can go to Key West for however the hell long we want to stay here. Because because we have means. And secondly, a lot of people, I've actually been blown up in the comment section. Somebody's like, that's how you spend your money. Some of it. Listen, we went parasailing the other day. I was on the right side, Dearly was on the left side, and Daniel was in the middle. We were 300 feet up behind a boat. We got a boat. We were the only ones on it. Didn't pay for a private charter. Just turned out it was the last trip of the day. We were the only ones there. They took us out for an hour. We were up there 300 feet above the water. And we were loving it. We were enjoying it. We were laughing. We were talking about how great life was. And I looked over at my wife and my son and I said, which is better? Having a bunch of crap in our garage right now that we never use and that we couldn't use anyway because there's snow and ice everywhere, or being 300 feet above the Atlantic Ocean where it meets the Gulf of America in this parasail in this moment right now. They didn't even have to think about it. They said this is better. My point to the story is this. When you don't have debt, when you don't have all these payments for all that crap you think you need that you don't, you're free to come and go as you please. You can go wherever you want, whenever you want it. It's lifestyle choice. Hey, we might not have as much stuff as a lot of our yuppie neighbors back in Charlottesville, but we can come and go as we please. Last winter, we spent 5 months in the Philippines because we can. The folks with all the stuff, they can't miss 2 weeks of work, or they won't earn enough to make those minimum payments, and the finance companies will come in and start taking their crap that's piled up in their garages that they don't use anyway. It's all a choice, people. It's all a choice. Choose wisely, because it will affect you for life. Whether you're an enslaved person, enslaved not by chains, but by debt, or whether you're free and you're able to come down, enjoy your chicken fry, a cold beer on a Friday night, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right. Who is the third targeted group? I, honest to God, believe, and I'm part of this group, and I'm probably part of the previous group too, but not the first. I am a free thinker. I do think outside of the box. Write a book called The Box. It's available on Amazon, print or Kindle. It's awesome. If you're a channel member, and once we get home and we reactivate our Etsy store where you can buy many of my books personally autographed from me, if you're a channel member, point that out. You get a free copy of my novel, The Box. It's about living outside the box, outside of the soul trap, not thinking like others. It's like what Rick Burnell did. Follow your passion. Pursue your passion. It will rain money on you. It's about freeing yourself of those chains of the system, the soul trap. Okay? But here's the third group that falls into this targeted group. It's veterans. It's veterans. Why veterans? Aren't we your nation's heroes? Well, number one, we're highly trained, highly skilled. We know how to lead, and we know how to lead a resistance. All right? So, you'll remember, if you've been following our Key West saga, there have been days here when I have been ill. Those were the days when there were heavy spraying. There were days where we did not see any spraying, and I was outside every morning running, doing jumping jacks, push-ups, flutter kicks, feeling great, like $1 million. I'm in my 50s. Okay? I'm convinced the sprays also affect me because I have a compromised immune system due to my exposure to the burn pits in Iraq. Think about our veterans from generations before me, the Vietnam veterans. They were exposed to Agent Orange. Those of us who were in the War on Terror, Iraq, Afghanistan, we got exposed to stuff that didn't even exist yet in Vietnam, or at least probably did. We didn't know about it, that they're just now telling us about. Coming out with all these weird things on our faces that are not age spots. There's a condition for this. I can't even pronounce it. Yeah, the VA finally last year admitted that we have these conditions because of the burn pits. Therefore, that and other things have compromised our immune system, so we're affected by the sprays. Well, hey, who better to lead and train the first two groups mentioned than us? So, hey, get us out of the way as well. So, there was one evening, you remember I made the sunset video. I have me and my wife in it. She's beautiful. Yes, she's gorgeous. Love of my life. You can go back and watch that. The next day we went to see the sunset and we couldn't see the sun because it was a heavy day of spraying. Now that morning I had run because they hadn't sprayed in the morning. We sat out on the beach until it got dark anyway, had dinner at the beachside restaurant, okay? In the middle of the night, a few hours after that, I was asleep. I woke up with the same stomach cramp, same stomach pain that I'd experienced previously after going through the spraying in northern Florida as we made our way down to Key West. Hadn't been affected by it in 2 days, hadn't seen the spraying in 2 days until they had sprayed the sunset to the point of invisibility. A few hours later, I had the same sick type conditions. It only makes sense. So with all that said, folks, and again, let me give a couple shout outs. Might not read the entire emails, but it's not just happening here. Since these are the targeted groups, they are spraying wherever these groups exist. I'm saying probably mostly in urban areas, repressed areas around the cities. So eventually, when I do get back to my peaceful home, the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, that's probably where I'm going to be safest because we're not densely populated. The properties are all big, people are spread far apart, and the people that live there are producers, they're people of means. They're going to leave us alone for the most part. I'm going to limit the number of times I go into town, especially which parts of town I go into, because those are going to be the parts that are heavily sprayed. But listen, this is from Just Liz. Just Liz writes, hey, I let my dog out at 8 a.m. yesterday, and an hour later when I let him in, here's how the sky looked. And she showed me the skies were just covered in spray. She says it was clear at 8 a.m. when she let the dog out. This is a daily thing here. I've lived in Kansas, so it's going on in Kansas. It's wherever there are people, wherever they're finding these targeted groups. I've lived in Kansas since 1975, so I'm very aware of the skies here. I can tell you the last time I've seen the true blue sky or she says, I can't tell you the last time I've seen the real true blue skies and the clouds. I've always watched the skies, and I played the cloud shade game even with my kids and grandkids. I can't do it anymore. Also, I miss the beautiful blue sky that we used to have here. Now it's a gray color with a blue tint. Thanks for your great info, Just Liz. And then we got one from Mara Lee. She says, from Mara Lee H. She says, hey, Kevin, before you beat yourself up about going to Florida, it's here in Tennessee also. She says, on Wednesday morning, the chemtrails were so bad that I got out of my car to take pictures. By Friday night, we had the fog once again, and I took the footage off my Ring cam to show you. No, it is not rain or snow. It was fog. My whole family has been throwing up. I have just had nausea and headaches. We have also had those blinking pole lights all around my area. I feel like I am also at ground zero. Hope you feel better soon. And listen, I'm telling you, it's happening wherever, if you fit into those three categories, the non-producing negative Neds and negative Nellies who are demanding more, though you do nothing to earn anything for your fair share. If they live in your town, and they probably do because that's a pretty good percentage of our population, you're getting sprayed. If you are a free thinker who thinks outside of the box and questions authorities and don't buy party lines, you're being sprayed. If you're a combat veteran especially, probably all veterans, but especially us combat veterans, guess what? You're on the list. So that's it, folks. that's the video for today. Again, we're moving on today. We are leaving Key West. We're not leaving the Deep South because I'm going to go to a few more communities to continue to do my research and wait until the power comes back on at my house in Virginia and enjoy my chicken fry. Thanks for being here with me at the greatest homesteading channel on the planet, again, that has few things ever to do with homesteading off the grid. See you for more next time. What? No snappy comeback?